YouTubes. We got a lot to get to. I'm very excited. All right, I think we're live. Hello, YouTube. Good morning. Welcome to the Lurie Daniel Favors Show Experience, where you are being invited to participate in the work that we do here at Urban View, channel 126 on SiriusXM, where talk empowers and becomes action. We got a lot of news to get to today, but before we get to the news, I have something I want to share with you about this amazing situation or events that I had an opportunity to participate in last night. So last night, I was a panelist at the New York chapter of the Urban League's town hall on education. And the town hall was called Our Kids, Our Future of Public, Focus on Public Education. Shout out to the amazing Arva Rice, who was the head of that organization, the New York chapter of the Urban League. Dr. Misha Porter, who is a former New York City schools chancellor. It was a real honor to be just in the conversation. It was a riveting discussion, I thought anyway. I think the audience got a lot out of it from the reaction. And Arva was an amazing moderator. And after I left that event, I then ended up on a virtual event that was a conversation basically about, Black people trying to help Black people do Black people things better, right? It was a wonderful conversation. And when my husband picked me up later that evening, he said something that has echoed conversations that we've had before, but it really felt like it was very much on point in light of the event I had just come from, the event I had participated in online, and everything else we've been thinking about in terms of Blackness and in our place in the world. And yes, our problems are significant right now. And we were talking about, well, should we do this or should we do that? Because every conversation that Black people has where we're asking each other, what do we do next? Sort of has that, should we do this? Should we do that component to it? And Brian, my husband, was like, once again, he says, how many of us know 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that you know right now who get paid as their full-time job to work on the best interests of Black people, to work in some beneficial way to make Black people's lives better? I was like, well, you know me, because my whole job when I leave these airways, I'm certainly working to make Black people's lives better. But even outside of these airways, when I leave these airways, and frankly, before I get to these airways, I work at a law center that was literally established to make Black people's lives better in the city of New York. So I was like, well, you know me. He was like, I married you. Like, he's like, you don't count for this particular question. So I'm asking you right now, think how many people you know whose 9-to-5 job, or 9 to 9, or whatever their hours are, their 9-to-5 job is basically one where their entire, the way they're evaluated, the tasks that they take on, the projects that they engage in, these are projects, tasks, and focuses that they have that are designed to proactively, explicitly, intentionally, and solely center the needs of Black people. Most of us cannot think of many people who do that. But if we had more people whose primary job it was to help Black people do better, as opposed to what happens right now, where it's like, okay, I got this meeting after work. I'm going to go to this meeting. I got to pick up my kids first, and I'm going to make sure my kids is good. I might bring the kids to the meeting because, childcare is a thing. But I'm going to go to the meeting, but then after the meeting, I'm going to be at the committee meeting next week, but I'm not probably going to be at the one after that because my child has this, that, and the other. Most of us who are doing the work of trying to make Black people's lives better are doing so as an extracurricular. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like our sole focus. It's not what you get paid to do. And at the Urban League event, the New York chapter of the Urban League event, there was this beautiful sister who contributed so much to the conversation from the audience. And she had a lot of intelligent things to say. And then naturally, I find out she is one of my sorors. Shout out to the members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Of course, all of us were there speaking our personal capacities because no one ever has the capacity to speak on behalf of the organization. But it just, a coincidence that I just thought worth mentioning. But she basically said that while she does not have any children, she is a part of one of these school board entities that we have here in New York City. And she was like, listen, I'm a rich auntie. Like I ain't got no kids, but I'm a part of this education community. And we all need to be, activating the rich auntie brigade and the rich uncle brigade. And we need to be tapping in people. But she was like, as a millennial, we're not having as many children. So a lot more of us have time that our Gen X counterparts simply do not have. And I thought when I heard that and I compared that to what Brian then said later, I was like, you know what? We got over 1 million Black people right now who are unemployed, who were gainfully employed at this time last year. And they're only unemployed because of the racism. And so if we could figure out how to, one, create the Black enterprise and the entrepreneurial ventures and spaces that will allow us to create jobs for people. But some of the jobs we need to be creating are jobs where your whole 9-to-5 focus as a social worker, your whole 9-to-5 focus as a medical doctor, 9 to 9, because y'all be doing crazy hours like lawyers. Your whole 9-to-5 focus as a banker is to think about how to create social work products that are going to work for our community, how to create medical products and systems and structures and research papers that are going to benefit our community, how to be a banker who is not going to produce racist, toxic loan products like the ones that had us losing our houses in the foreclosure crisis, but how are you going to create mortgage products or financial products that are going to be able to factor our economic history in mind, and then empower us to be more economically sustained. I don't have an answer to this yet, but I will. And I know I'm working on this, and I know many of you are working on that as well. I just raised that because I want us to have some grace when it comes to the levels of flummoxation that we find ourselves in now. A lot of us are flummoxed. We're not quite sure what to do. Let us give ourselves some grace. Most of us think about Black liberation like for 2 hours, maybe a month, maybe a week, maybe every other month, depending on what meeting or committee we're a part of, right? And so give us some grace. We now got a whole lot more time. Many of us, we're going to figure this out. But I just wanted to say that because I think that as we're figuring out what the next thing should be, we also got to think about how do we and make sure that the employment revolution that we are going to be providing for ourselves, how do we make sure that part of that also includes having people whose sole job is to, in their respective discipline, make our lives better with policy, with programs, with funding stream understandings, all of it. If you could do that for the whites, we're going to now need to figure out a way how to employ you to do it for us. I'm going to say that. Let's talk about some other things that are very important. Let's get into the news. Somalia. Somalia has been in the news a lot, and there is a book that Dr. Carr recommended this morning on Urban View Mornings called Foreign Intervention in Africa After the Cold War. It's an important read. These sorts of reads that explain to us what was happening in the continent of Africa after colonialism, very, very important, because Africa has been so just manipulated, raped, robbed, pillaged, plundered, whatever label you can put on it, for so long that we often forget that the conditions of countries that we see today, be it Darfur, be it Sudan, be it Democratic Republic of Congo. I said Darfur. Did I mean Darfur? The Democratic Republic of Congo. I meant to say that, not Darfur. Although there's challenges pick a country. There's challenges in a variety of them. And we often forget that the reason there's so many issues is because the West, including America, have done everything they could to basically rape, pillage, plunder, and continue extracting resources out of the continent of Africa. They destabilize the populations. They flood those populations with guns, prop up warlords. The same thing they did in Afghanistan before Osama bin Laden blew up them buildings. He was on the CIA payroll. Let's have some historical remembrance here. And so every time Donald Trump calls one of these countries a shithole country, I'm like, y'all the shitters, and y'all being Americans, which I guess means us. Oh, I hate including myself in this. But basically, after America invades a melanated country, which happens frequently, they tend to create migration crises. So just as a sidebar, for those of you who are very mad at the Latinos who are here and the migrants, just know that if this man really do put boots on the ground and invade Venezuela the way he has said that he's going to, as yesterday he said, no, this is war. If he does that, just be prepared for the Browns to start flooding your communities even more, because migration crises always follow American militarization and engagement. Now, earlier this week, Donald Trump went on a tirade against the Somalians, Somali Americans, where he basically was calling them the N-word without calling them the N-word. And he does this all the time. He finds somebody Black that he don't like, that he don't want to, that he wants to criticize. There's usually a woman, and of course, there's one in this case as well, Ilhan Omar. And what he tends to do is basically call them out their name. He disrespects them. He Donald Trumps them. And Donald Trump is fairly consistent, so, we don't even have to worry about that. I'm going to play this clip for you. It's painful, but I want y'all to hear this man in his own twisted, sordid words, because, well, why not? This is Donald Trump basically calling Somalis the N-word. And when he's thinking Somali, he's thinking Black. I'm sharing the screen. Let's take a listen.
Thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief...
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying...
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother.
False.
It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with... go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country, and without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia is considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know.
Let's pause it here because I quite
won't be there
frankly can't
anytime
stomach anymore. Let's pause it here. I shared that because you need to be aware as to what this president is saying, because I promise you that when he says Somali, he thinks black. He don't see no difference. Like, I promise you, this man does not see any difference between the Somali community and the black community. Now, Somali Americans have been responding in a variety of ways, kind of cutely. You all may recall that during the invasion of Gaza, there were some portions of the Israeli community that were cheering this effort on. I say some portions because, frankly, prior to October 7th of, 2023, Israelis were in the streets protesting Benjamin Netanyahu, trying to get him out of there. And then all of a sudden, this attack happened. And then Benjamin Netanyahu was still there. Do with that information what you will. Connect the dots, follow the money. But there were a subset of Israelis who were very excited about what Benjamin Netanyahu was doing. And they were very excited about this because they're pro-Zionist groups and people, and they have their perspective, and you can have your perspective about their perspective. That's not what we're talking about today. But they would make these videos basically teasing Gazans, right? Like pretending to be Gazans. Oh, I don't have any food. Oh, I just got bombed. I mean, it was disgusting. Like, it was really disgusting. And it was one of the things that really sort of backfired, and it helped to fuel a lot more IDF bombing. It raised a lot more of attention. So it did not have the reality or the impact that I think they thought it would. But Somalis have been taking a page out of that book, and they have been doing videos of themselves claiming Minnesota as their ancestral homeland. You've got videos of Somali women in full gear, traditional gear, walking through the snow-filled yards of Minnesota, claiming that Minnesota was their ancestral homeland given to them 3,000 years ago. It's super cute. I don't know what it's going to do in terms of affecting policy, but, you got to respond the way that you respond. The mayor, Jacob Fry, also had a response, and he, talks extensively in this commentary. We're only going to show a quick clip of it. I'm still on the fence about Jacob Fry because I did not appreciate the way that he mishandled the aftermath of the George Floyd lynching. I did not appreciate the way that there's been a couple of brothers who have been killed in that state or in his city. And the way he responded, I just thought was complete trash. And you can feel a way about that, but you can also recognize that in this moment, he's trying to do something. I want you all to take a listen to this clip where he breaks out in the middle of the clip speaking in Somali. Oh my God, and I just realized I'm not even sure that's quite the name of the language. Whatever. He's speaking in the language that Somali community members speak in, and do with this information what you will, but it was an olive branch of sorts. Take a listen.
That's not American. That's not what we are about.
Yeah. America is
We're
about
going to do right by every single person in our cities.
Okay.
And so, to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Kuji, Janilahai, Waan, Ku, Gereb, Taganahan.
Now, I don't know what he said. And I do know that no one struggles with a foreign language like a white American. I'm just saying. It's a beautiful thing. All Americans tend to struggle with foreign languages generally, but I always... It's the struggle language. It's hilarious to me. Now, he's not the only one who spoke up on behalf of Somali Americans. The city council member, Jamal Osman, also had some things to say, significant things to say about the fact that this feels very much like 1930s, 1940s. Now, Somali Americans, we got some lessons in this for you. I want you to pay close attention because what this man says is pretty significant and it's on point. And I want you to take a listen. This is a very quick clip, but I want you to take a listen to this because there is a lesson here for Somali Americans. There is a lesson here for the Pan-African community about what black people know about whiteness culture and what you know as a new arrival to Whitelandia. Okay? Take a listen to this clip. This is council member Jamal Osman speaking about what he has experienced as a result of Donald Trump's tirade.
But now President Donald Trump singling out and attacking one group of people and ICE being on our streets and asking people documentation. It feels like we are in 1930s, 1940s in Germany. Never thought there would be a time where I will tell my community to carry their passport around because you look like Somali. You might be stopped by ICE.
Now, here's the thing. You're having a Somali black American, and I'm using that phrase intentionally. I know it ticks some of you off, but it's what it is. You're having a Somali black American understanding. This is your wake-up call. because we had to talk with our kids all the time. Like, you got to carry your information. You got to know how to engage with the police because they always coming for you. They're always looking for you. So welcome to Black America. Welcome to Black America. Now, obviously, this is horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And Donald Trump is using the same tropes and same tactics against Somalis that he uses against all the black people that he attacks, which essentially means that the racial profiling in this community is going to skyrocket. Hide your kids, hide your wife. It's going to be bad. And no one in the police, ICE, slave patrols are going to care if you're Black American. They're arresting white women, like who they think might be, suspiciously in the country. So Black people, be careful. Black Somali Americans, be very, very careful, because the way that Black oppression is about to increase in this community is significant. Take a page out of what's happening in North Carolina, where people were teaching in faith-based institutions, houses of worship, houses of faith, teaching people how to respond when ICE comes around. I've been seeing how the Whistle Brigade has been really picking up. And the Whistle Brigade is basically when ICE is coming to your community, everyone starts getting whistles. And there's some codes that have been shared with me, at least what I have seen in New York City. I don't know if the codes are different elsewhere, but basically a whole bunch of whistles in short bursts means that ICE is coming. Long held whistles means that ICE is placing an arrest. And if you are undocumented or look like you might be undocumented or melanated in any way, get your ass out of Dodge. Let the white people handle this, or the people who have sufficient Black American privilege, to the extent that that even exists. It feels a little oxymoronic. That they're able to stand with you. But Black people, really be careful. Now, as Dr. Carr said this morning on Urban View Mornings, I feel like I've quoted him a lot today already. In some ways, we're all Somalis in this moment because we're all Black. And Donald Trump thinks Somali, he thinks Black. Howsoever, having said all of that, and taking nothing away from what I've already said, the same way that I on this show hold white Trump voters accountable when they're upset about the horrificness of this Trump administration biting them in the white ass even though they voted for it. The same way that I hold Black MAGA accountable when they realize that they voted in a whole ass white nationalist. My Somali brethren, sister, and family and friends, come to the front. Come to the front. Because I feel like this was you. Was this you? Y'all may recall Tabitha Speaks. I love her. She does amazing work. She's super, super dope. I feel like Somali Americans from this particular community, I think this might have been you. And if that's the case, we got some lessons to unpack. Take a listen because you need to pay attention to what is happening in this clip. Hold on, let me replace it. Jonah, let's hear it because I want to make sure that the people can too. Let's go.
They are all finding out. Because you see, back on November 2nd or November 3rd of 2024, this is how it started out there in Minnesota with the African Somalian community.
Thank you, Salman, and good morning again. My name is Faisal Deri, and we're here gathered today with the community leaders, business leaders, and youth leaders from the Somali community and from the Muslim community in Minnesota. And we're gathered here today to fully support and endorse President Trump and J.D. Vance. So some of the key issues of the community are the global wars, and we're for peace, economic issues, family values, and education are some of the critical issues that this community cares. On top of that, this community cares about the economic issues and the inflation. With all these and a number of other issues, the community came together and fully is standing behind President Donald J. Trump.
Wow, that's something.
Well, that's how it started back in November of 2024. This is how it's going.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars. Billions. Every year. Billions of dollars. And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I can say that about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other.
Wow.
And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Wow. That's, yeah. Oh, we can stop it there. We can stop it there. So listen, you know, Somali Americans, you are getting your Negro wake-up card, as Reese Colbert calls it. And so welcome to the reality of Black Americans. Elections have consequences. And to our newest African-American family members, be you Somali or some other portion of the continental African community, be you Afro-Caribbean, be you Afro-Latinos, you need to recognize that we as Black Americans, even the half-national ones, because apparently I'm not fully foundational Black American because only my daddy is Black American, my mama is Black Jamaican. So I'm half-national, which I feel like should be considered like sensational. That's just me. But as a half-national Black American, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. While you were colonized in Africa and enslaved throughout the Caribbean and Latin America, after your colonizing ended, you were able to kick out your colonial powers. Now, yes, they're still there vis-a-vis policy, as I explained earlier in that book with how, basically Europe, how Europe underdeveloped Africa. It's another book that you should check out. But you were able to kick out the physical presence of your colonial powers, even though their systems and structures remain. For those of you in Afro-Caribbean, Afro-Latino communities, after your enslavement ended, your colonial powers withdrew. Even though they still maintained power, you were not physically in a position where you are living and outnumbered by your Hitler. We as the foundational Black Americans, including the half-national, sensational half-Black Americans, we have had to grow up with our Hitler. We have different knowledge and understanding about what that means. We've got insight. You should listen to us. And I know that it's hard for you to do that because you have been promulgated with the same sort of messaging about us that we have been promulgated with about you. You have been taught that we are lazy, we're shiftless, we're no good, and this, that, and the other. And then you come here to this country and then you see evidences of that seem to resonate with what you have been taught about us. And so you teach yourself to stay away from us. And then we as Black Americans were taught that y'all are shiftless, trifling, no good, backwards, and primitive. Half of us don't even want to go to Africa because goddamn, thank God for slavery, because where would we be but climbing a tree? So we have all across the diaspora been taught to despise the other elements of the diaspora, which is really a ritual and a tool that comes out of enslavement. Because if I can keep, as the white slave owner, if I can keep the slaves arguing amongst themselves, ain't nobody gonna be coming for me or the missus. So I'm just saying, for those of us who are healing from our internalized white supremacy, we know things. And we have insight about whiteness culture that, frankly, you simply do not. And when we tell you things about whiteness culture participants, white people, you need to listen because we be right. And when people show you who you are, believe them. Signed, your woke Black American half-national sister. Now, let's get on to some other conversation because I want to say a good morning to Admiral Alvin Halsey. Now, I done said that man's name. I messed it up several times earlier this week, but I have said that man's name many, many times. He is the brother, Morehouse man, who basically was like, what I'm not going to do is be bombing people in the middle of the ocean under some murky-ass legal authorities. Tim, his own mama said he's trash. Heck said, you got to go. You got to go. We have now learned that, no, I'm sorry, Admiral Halsey didn't say his own mama say he's trash, you got to go. He basically said, take your bullshit ass order and shove it up your narrow behind. That's kind of what I feel like he was saying. Now, what we have since learned, Wall Street Journal is reporting and other outlets are now picking it up, that Secretary of Defense, Pete, his own mama say he's trash and a murderer, Pete, his own mama say he's trash and a murderer, Hegseth, asked U.S. Navy Admiral Alvin Halsey to retire after Halsey expressed concerns about the legality of Trump at boat bombings in the Caribbean. On Wednesday, the Wall Street Journal published a report that cited, quote, two unnamed Pentagon officials who said Hegseth asked the admiral to step down in a de facto ouster that was the culmination of months of discord between Hegseth and the officer after Halsey expressed concerns about the legality of lethal strikes on alleged boats in the Caribbean. Child, Admiral Halsey was trying to warn you. He was trying to tell you. You know how when, if we in the culture, if you see one of us running, what do the rest of us do? We run. If you see a massive group of Black people running, don't stop to ask us why we running. You either follow us or face whatever we are running from. We know danger and we know that it's time to get the fuck out of Dodge. Admiral Halsey was like, this is danger. I got to go. And the fact that he was asked to resign lets you know that he was willing to stay in the fight because he had been giving Pete, his own mama say he's trash, and a war criminal Hegseth the business, the months of discord, months of frustration. And you know how order concerned militarized entities are. So the fact that he was pushing back says a lot about him, and it says a whole lot about P. His own mama say he's trash and a murderer, Hegseth. But this is the country that we're in. This is how these people operate. And so good morning to Admiral Halsey. I hope you are doing well. I don't know nothing more about you but the fact that you're a Morehouse man. But brother, good on you. We're glad that you got out because they was going to run you under that same bus that Admiral Bradley is being ran under right now. But apparently we understand that Admiral Bradley was actually down with the Trumps. So we all get what we get and we don't get upset. Let's go into New York briefly. You guys may recall that a couple of weeks ago, we learned about this group, an organization called the Young Republicans. Jesus, I could tell you stories about them at Penn State. But the Young Republicans, the statewide chapter, this was the group that basically got ousted for all their racist texts. And it was a whole bunch of text messages, thousands of text messages like, I love Hitler and I hate the blacks and all these horrific commentaries. And that group was essentially disbanded. That was the statewide chapter. Well, not to be undone, the New York City chapter said, "Homo racist beer." And they decided that they were going to one up and elevate their racism by inviting to their gala, which takes place next week, December the 13th. They're going to be recognizing Markus Frohnmayer, who is a political leader from the Alternative for Germany party, basically like the Nazi party of today. Now, they have been playing up his visit, and he is a very controversial figure in German politics. In August, this organization put out a statement calling for a new civic order in Germany. They have been declaring AfD über alles, which is basically like white nationalist Germans coming out the white nationalism closet. Because one thing about Germany, after World War II, when they got their asses handed to them, they went on a real educational campaign. Like, there were periods of time where you could not fly a swastika. If you said anything pro-Nazi, you was getting arrested. I mean, they were serious about repairing their culture in a way that white Americans simply would never after the Civil War, and frankly did not. And in a statement, we basically, or as Politico is reporting, they are bringing this person who is one of the most controversial figures in Germany for being a whole ass white nationalist to their gala where they will be honoring him the way white nationalists do. And essentially, this is a party that has been rising in the ranks in Germany. So what is happening is that the increase and the swell of white nationalism that we are experiencing here in these United States is also happening all across Europe. And so we have to be aware of this, because the last time that the whites organized in this way, we had an international slave trade. Okay, that went the entire world. It lasted for several hundreds of years, and they got more weapons now than they ever have before. We need to know these things. We need to be aware of these things so that we can figure out how we are going to defend ourselves and fight back. We also have to fight back against the corporations, because AT&T has decided to go the way of Target. And AT&T, the wireless carrier, basically said in a letter to the U.S. telecoms regulator that it has committed to ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, a move that comes as it seeks approval from the Trump administration to buy wireless spectrum assets. Quote, unquote. This is being reported by a number of outlets. I believe this one, I didn't put down the article or the source where this one came from. Hold on, I believe this was a CNN report. I'll find that, and Jonah confirmed that in just a minute. But see, and Phil Lewis, I'm sorry, my bad. Phil Lewis is who shared this account. Phil Lewis is dope. I don't know that brother in person, but he does real good things. But AT&T has basically decided that they are going to do a Target, and they're going to pull back on ending and they're going to end their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Now, what makes this so interesting is that they suck. They suck. I used to have AT&T, but then I moved to T-Mobile. Note there, we're going to come back to that in just a minute. In November of 2024, AT&T agreed to buy wireless spectrum licenses, reports CNN, from U.S. Cellular in a $1.02 billion deal that requires approval from the Federal Communications Commission. Now, what we know about this is that whenever corporations in this country, since Trump became inaugurated, when they have had to get permission from the FCC or from any other federal regulatory body to do something, they've had to give up, or they have been willing to give up their diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is the cost of entertaining diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're willing to pay the cost. They'll give it up because they want the benefit from the government, which lets you know how much value you do not have for these people. Now, I was feeling a little bit like AT&T is trash until I then learned further in the article that in July, wireless carrier T-Mobile did the same shit. And I was about to big up T-Mobile because, you know, I kind of like how they roll. I've been with T-Mobile since I was in law school. Like, literally my first cell phone I had on T-Mobile. And then when I had a business line, at one point I had an AT&T line. My point is this. Me and T-Mobile have been together for a long time, but T-Mobile has decided that they too are going to give up the blacks. They're going to give up the diversity. And the FCC then went on to approve this transaction that T-Mobile gave up their diversity, equity, and inclusion plans for. And I was going to get indignant about this because who does AT&T think they are? But then I realized, damn, my own wireless carrier is doing the same thing. So here's the thing. We're in a situation where we have hindsight. We can look back and we can see the benefits, the disadvantages, the advantages of decisions that we made before. But I just want to say this. There is nothing in the historical record that should have led us to believe that tying our economic sustainability in terms of jobs, housing access, education, access to anything in society, including utilities, like having the ability to have a phone service or to have electricity or have clean water. There was nothing in the historical record or the then available current information that should have led us, black people, our community, or our leaders to believe that integration institution, the abandonment, which for us included, didn't have to, but because of our own internalized white supremacy, it did. It did not have to include and should not have included the abandonment of black institutions, business, stores, utility services to the extent that they existed in whatever capacity that they may have. There is nothing intelligent about a decision to tie our access to any of those things, to our ability to successfully integrate into these people. A group of people who have for centuries demonstrated a complete and wholesale inability to value us beyond anything beyond which they could extract from us and exploit. So let this be a lesson to all of us, because it isn't just the Somali blacks that have some lessons they need to relearn. We American blacks, be we foundational, half-dational, or simply sensational, because all of us actually are sensational, we got some things we got to figure out too. Because what the hell made us think then that integrating into this mess was going to end well for us? Which means that as we rebuild this next era, what the hell makes us think that trying to reintegrate in the way that we did the first time is going to work well in the next version of whatever America looks like? You better bet on black. You better double, triple, quadruple down on black and figure out how to make black work and how to connect internationally with other blacknesses. Because as the global north is reasserting its right or its right-wing white nationalist policies, as the global north is planning to essentially recolonize Africa, re-enslave everybody who's got a stitch of melanin that they can't hide or pass from, the global south better figure the fuck out what we gonna do. And I'm including blacks, be you half-dational, foundational, sensational. We in that group too. Because one thing the Office of Remigration also plans after they get rid of the Somalis and everybody else who's here illegally is to get rid of your black ass. And you can put money down on that. Urban View will be back after this commercial break. YouTube, appreciate y'all. As always, please like, subscribe, and share the video. And make sure that you also pay attention to the podcast, Lurie Breaks It Down, which will be out later on today.